some of you have been asking me to talk about my wonderful book collection that I have. I've had a couple of requests like, hey, could you like share a little bit of information about like some of the books that you would recommend for people who like to cook, for people into food, etc., etc. And I'm gonna give it to you. These are some of the books, some of the many books. I don't know if you guys can see all of them that I recommend, and I'm gonna kind of just go over these 5 quickly. They're not cookbooks, but I can definitely I'll talk about some cookbooks that I recommend having on your shelf or in your Kindle or however else you like to read your books. But for now, I'm just gonna kind of talk about these, and you can let me all know what you think in the comment section. Cooking Up a Business by Rachel Hofstetter. Sorry, I'm looking because honestly, like, I can't remember everything. Okay, I have like 1,000 books. But the reason why I got this book is because I wanted to figure out more about monetizing food. You know, I personally think that you should make money from whatever your hobby is, whatever your interests are, your passions. If you're good at something, if you're really into something, you should get compensated for it in some way. The book basically goes over a couple of other people's business ideas and kind of the soup to nuts in a couple of pages. So it's just kind of, it's interesting to see, you know, kind of see and to get a glimpse into the minds of people who come up with these things that you see on the shelves. Things that you probably have in your fridge, in your cupboard right now. So I recommend this book. So yeah, Cooking Up a Business. Get on Amazon and so on and so forth. Next book, How Not to Die by Michael Greger. I know, the name is just kind of like, what? I want to die. I was in some store in DC and I saw the book on the shelf and I was like, I gotta get that book. But anyway, so I have a lot of people asking me like, oh, why did you start eating less meat? I'm not 100% vegan at all. You know, the plant-based life has been a steep slope for me. I'm trying my best, but it's really difficult, you know, to make sure that you get all the nutrients you need to get if you don't have the correct knowledge of what to eat to make sure you're getting everything you need. And so that's something I'm personally working on, but I've definitely cut down my meat consumption dramatically. This is a great book if you are somebody who's interested in, maybe you want to eat less meat, but you're not, it's something that's been in the back of your head, but this is the book that convinced me not to eat meat every single day. And even if you, it doesn't really matter, like people have different reasons for doing it, you know, whether it's like feeling a certain way about slaughtering animals for food, or you know, doing it for the environment because of the emissions that come from meat production. Wide range of reasons. Some people, they just want to be healthier, some people want to lose weight, lots of different reasons, and this book touches on a lot of that, but mostly through this lens of a doctor, you know, who is also, I guess, a nutritionist and has a really good understanding of what, like, how food affects us. Meat. I think it did alarm me a little bit because he really makes a lot of connections between like specific diseases, and that's what makes this book unique. Specific diseases and how they relate to the food we eat, but particularly meat consumption, and how making changes can help you sometimes if you're already sick or prevent certain illnesses. So yeah, I think this book is definitely good to just check out if you're interested in that and just have on your shelf, you know. It makes a good gift too. The next book I would suggest that also heavily influenced me is The Omnivorous Dilemma by Michael Pollen. Now this book I read a long time ago, but again, it's one of those things that changed my life, and I really think you should have a copy if possible. And you know, he's an author who's written several books on food and made other commentary on, you know, things that directly impact day-to-day life. But I think I was assigned to read this book when I took an environmentalism course in university. But anyway, long story short, it kind of makes you think about the impact of what you eat on, not just your body, but just the world in general. The implications, the ramifications of what you eat. And, of course, with a particular focus on the United States. So, I recommend having this book. If you're someone who's kind of conflicted about what do I eat, how should I eat, it's similar to How Not to Die. I think this is kind of a good book if you're someone who likes to really think about, the footprint of everything that you do. So, I recommend this book. I got this one by Beata Lubas. Sorry if I'm slaughtering your name. I apologize. And it's a cool book. She really goes into the nitty gritties for people who maybe don't have a photography background, and gives you tips on how to make your food look appetizing. She, helps you maybe get more comfortable with the camera. Like DSLR. I'm shooting with that right now actually, but I use my phone for a lot of the content that you see on my page and stuff. But she kind of goes into the details so you understand things like shutter speed and the aperture size and, things that I personally had forgotten from photography classes. So definitely recommend this book if you're someone who not only likes to cook, but likes to document your cooking process. It's a great book to have. So yeah, I recommend this one. I know there's a ton on the market, and there might be other ones that you think are better, or complement this one, but I think this is a good start. So, and last but not least, and it's so funny because when I posted reading this book, I actually got a lot of you in my DMs like, oh my god, I love that book. So I think a bunch of you already have it, which is great. This book is a must. And again, there's probably like a bunch of different versions available on the market, but I really, oh my gosh, I highly recommend this book. Again, this is a really great gift. So the Flavour Bible by Karen Page and Andrew Dornenburg. Although there's several contributions from various chefs and people who cook, in varying capacities in the book. But basically, it's kind of like a appendix or index. I don't know what the best word is for that, but going over some major ingredients and telling you like what goes with what. So when you're making something and you're like, okay, let's say I'm making a mushroom risotto, and you're not quite sure like what would make this dish better, like what would enhance this dish, and this book will help you answer that question. Now, if you've been cooking for a long time, like I've been cooking for a few years now as a home cook, so a lot of things I've learned as I've gone along. I also eat out quite a lot, and that helps inform my knowledge, and just reading books like this. It eventually becomes intuitive a lot of the time. Some of it is like common knowledge, like that blueberry and lemon go together. That's like a known fact by many people, even if you're not a chef or a cook or whatever. But this book, yeah, it gives a lot of like suggestions for pretty much everything. There's not one thing I've looked up in this book and been like, where is it? I need to know now. And see, look, it even got a James Beard Foundation stamp of approval. But yeah, so yeah, that's the end of my little spiel with some of the books that I have. And again, yeah, just let me know in the comments if you want me to review some of the cookbooks that I highly recommend.